Ladies and gentlemen, today I invite you to journey into the depths of the human mind, into a space that transcends the individual and speaks to the very core of what it means to be human. It is a place where the echoes of our ancestors resonate, where timeless patterns unfold, shaping our thoughts, actions, and relationships. This is the realm of the collective unconscious and the archetypes that dwell within it. First, let us explore the concept of archetypes. These are not mere fleeting images or random thoughts. Archetypes are the primal symbols and themes that have been woven into the very fabric of human existence. They transcend the boundaries of time, culture, and individual experience. Whether we realize it or not, we encounter these archetypes in our dreams, in our myths, and in the stories we tell. They are present in the figures of the hero, the mother, the shadow, the wise old man, and countless others. These archetypes represent universal truths about our psyche, archetypal patterns that have emerged over millennia of human history. Now, one may ask, where do these archetypes reside? The answer lies in the collective unconscious, a vast shared pool of knowledge and experience that is not personal, but rather a communal heritage. It is not a construct that we consciously build over time, but a pre-existing framework that shapes our very nature. The collective unconscious contains the wisdom of countless generations that came before us. It holds within it not just personal memories, but the deep inherited psychological patterns that have guided humanity for eons. This brings us to an essential point. The archetypes are not merely abstract ideas. They are potent forces that shape our behavior and perceptions. They arise from the collective unconscious and influence us in ways that we often do not fully understand. They are the undercurrents of our inner world, molding our responses, reactions, and even the paths we choose in life. They are ever present, silently guiding us, and often we are unaware of their power. Yet, when we become attuned to them, we begin to recognize their presence in our own lives. We see the hero within us, the shadow that we must confront, and the wisdom that lies in embracing the archetypes that reflect our deeper nature. But there is more to this understanding than passive recognition. The key to true personal growth lies in the integration of these archetypes. Just as the unconscious influences us, so too can we consciously engage with it. When we recognize and understand the archetypes within us, we begin to unlock hidden aspects of our psyche. The hero's journey is not simply a myth, it is a reflection of the journey each of us must take toward wholeness. The confrontation with our shadow is not something to fear, but an opportunity to face and accept the parts of ourselves that we have long neglected. The wise old man or woman within us is always ready to offer guidance if we are willing to listen. By integrating these archetypal energies into our lives, we gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the world. We cease to be mere victims of unconscious forces, and instead we become active participants in the unfolding of our own story. We begin to align with the larger universal patterns that govern not only our individual lives, but the very fabric of the human experience. Archetypes, as a fundamental aspect of human psychology, are more than just abstract symbols or fleeting representations. They are universal patterns of thought, behavior, and experience that transcend individual consciousness and cultural differences. These archetypes reside deep within the human psyche and emerge across time, space, and culture in a remarkable consistency. What is truly fascinating about these archetypes is their persistence. They are woven into the very fabric of our collective experience. Their presence can be found in ancient myths, religious narratives, fairy tales, literature, and even in the dreams of individuals today. In fact, the idea of archetypes offers a profound understanding of the human condition, allowing us to see that our psychological makeup is not solely defined by our personal experiences, but is shared with all of humanity. At their core, archetypes represent primal, inherent structures in the human psyche. They are not learned or constructed over time, but are instead innate, arising from a deep, unconscious reservoir that is shared by all human beings. These archetype patterns are the building blocks of the collective unconscious, the layer of the unconscious mind that contains memories, instincts, and experiences passed down from generation to generation. They emerge as essential symbols that help individuals navigate the complexities of existence. They provide meaning, direction, and understanding in the midst of life's challenges, giving shape to experiences that might otherwise feel incomprehensible or chaotic. Throughout history, these archetypes have taken many forms, whether in the ancient myths of gods and heroes or in the more modern frameworks of psychological analysis. The essence of archetypes remains the same. The hero's journey, for example, is a central archetype that appears universally, from the epics of Gilgamesh and Hercules to the modern tales of figures like Harry Potter and Frodo Baggins. This archetype represents the internal and external struggle of an individual who must leave their ordinary world, confront trials and obstacles, and ultimately emerge transformed. The process embodies growth, self-discovery, and the universal human quest for meaning. At its core, it teaches us that transformation is possible through adversity, and that even the most ordinary among us can undergo heroic journeys. Similarly, the archetype of the mother is an omnipresent symbol in human culture. The mother embodies nurturing, protection, creation, and unconditional love, but also destruction, as the mother can be a figure of overwhelming power, capable of immense harm if the balance is disrupted. This duality, the nurturing and destructive qualities, captures the complexity of the mother-child relationship and by extension, the larger dynamic of life and death. In different mythologies, literature, and cultural symbols, the figure of the mother often reflects the power of nature, of fertility, and of life itself. Yet, when disrupted or unbalanced, she may also represent the destructive forces of nature, symbolizing chaos or wrath. Another key archetype is the shadow. The shadow is the unconscious part of the personality that contains repressed weaknesses, desires, and the aspects of oneself that one is unwilling or unable to face. In mythological and literary terms, the shadow often appears as an antagonist, an embodiment of everything the protagonist must confront and integrate. In the story of the hero, the shadow represents the internal forces that impede growth and transformation. However, the shadow is not inherently evil or negative. Rather, it represents the parts of ourselves that are disowned and denied. The process of integrating the shadow, of recognizing and accepting these hidden aspects, is essential for personal growth. To embrace the shadow is to acknowledge that all parts of the self, both the light and the dark, are necessary for wholeness. Similarly, the archetype of the wise old man or woman represents guidance, insight, and the wisdom that comes with experience. This figure appears in many myths and stories as a mentor, offering the hero the tools or knowledge needed to overcome challenges. The wise old man is often portrayed as a symbol of the unconscious mind's deeper wisdom, representing qualities such as patience, serenity, and the ability to see beyond immediate concerns. The presence of the wise old man archetype in a person's life may not necessarily be manifested through an actual mentor or teacher, but can appear as an internal voice, an intuitive sense of knowing and understanding that arises when one is open to the deeper layers of the psyche. These archetypes are not merely intellectual concepts, but are deeply rooted in the emotional and psychological experiences of human beings. The profound connection between these universal symbols and the everyday lives of individuals speaks to a deep truth that our psyches are not entirely shaped by our personal, unique experiences. Instead, they are deeply interconnected with the larger human story. By understanding the archetypes, we can begin to see that the struggles, challenges, and joys we face are part of a much larger narrative. A narrative that has unfolded over thousands of years and is shared by all of humanity. The reason these archetypes persist across cultures and time periods is that they tap into universal human experiences. The archetypes are not bound by geographical or cultural boundaries. They transcend these divisions and speak to something fundamental in the human condition. The hero's journey can be found in the myths of ancient civilizations as well as in modern pop culture. The mother archetype appears in various forms, whether as a nurturing figure or as the earth itself, across diverse cultures and religions. Similarly, the shadow is a universal concept that exists in every culture, representing the parts of the self that must be confronted in order to achieve self-awareness. These archetypes emerge not from conscious thought or intentional creation, but from the deeper unconscious layers of the human psyche. The fact that they appear across time and cultures suggests that they are part of an innate collective psychic structure, a collective unconscious that transcends individual experience. This collective unconscious does not consist of personal memories or experiences. Rather, it houses the shared experiences of all humanity. It is a space where the psychic content of all individuals, whether in the form of emotions, symbols, or patterns, exists as part of the human heritage. The reason archetypes are so powerful is because they tap into this collective reservoir of human experience. They provide a symbolic framework for understanding the world and our place within it. When we encounter these archetypes in our own lives, whether through dreams, literature, or personal reflection, we are engaging with something deeply embedded within our collective consciousness. This connection is not intellectual or rational, but instinctual and emotional. Resonates with us on a deeper, often unconscious level, providing meaning and context for the events of our lives. The power of archetypes lies in their ability to reflect our inner world. When we encounter archetypes in stories, myths, or our own inner experiences, we are not simply learning about external figures or symbols. We are confronting the parts of ourselves that these archetypes represent. The hero within us calls us to embark on our own journey of self-discovery and transformation. The shadow forces us to confront our inner darkness and hidden fear. The mother invites us to explore our deepest longings for connection, nurture, and belonging. The wise old man beckons us to listen to the voice of our inner wisdom. As we delve deeper into the realm of archetypes, it becomes clearer that they are not just passive symbols. They are dynamic and active forces that shape our psychological and emotional lives. They represent the ways in which our unconscious mind shapes and influences our experiences, often beyond our conscious awareness. When we understand and work with these archetypes, we can bring them into our conscious awareness and begin to integrate their energy and wisdom into our daily lives. The study and understanding of archetypes offer not only a window into the deeper recesses of the unconscious mind, but also a path to self-awareness and self-actualization. By recognizing and engaging with these archetypes, we begin to understand ourselves and the world in a more profound way. We come to see that our lives are part of a much larger story, one that has been unfolding for millennia and is shared by all of humanity. Through the archetypes, we connect with the very essence of our being and with the timeless truths that have shaped our collective existence. ChatGPT said, "The concept of the collective unconscious is one of the most profound and intriguing ideas in the study of human psychology. It is the idea that the unconscious mind is not merely personal, consisting of an individual's repressed memories, unresolved conflicts, or forgotten experiences, but rather extends beyond the boundaries of the self. The collective unconscious is shared among all human beings, transcending individual experiences and personal histories. It holds within it the accumulated psychological knowledge and wisdom of humanity, passed down through the ages, shaping not only the way we experience the world, but also how we interpret and make sense of our inner lives. This concept proposes that there are universal elements embedded in our unconscious minds, elements that are inherent to all human beings and have evolved over generations as a collective repository of psychic content. In many ways, the collective unconscious serves as the deep foundation upon which our personal experiences, thoughts, and emotions rest. It exists below the level of individual consciousness and is made up of archetypes, universal patterns or symbols that reflect the shared experiences and struggles of humankind. These archetypes are the basic, timeless building blocks of the collective unconscious. They are not learned or individually constructed, but rather they are inherited, passed on across generations as part of our collective human heritage. These archetypes are reflected in myths, stories, legends, religious symbols, and even in dreams. They are universal truths, rooted in our biology and evolutionary history that remain largely hidden, but deeply influence our behavior, perceptions, and understanding of the world. The notion of the collective unconscious challenges the conventional view that the unconscious mind is solely a personal domain. Instead, it opens up the possibility that the unconscious mind contains far more than just personal memories and experiences. It is a space that holds the fundamental patterns of human existence. By understanding the collective unconscious, we gain access to a deeper layer of the psyche that connects us not just to our own individual pasts, but also to the collective history of humankind. This interconnectedness suggests that we are not isolated beings, each living in a separate individual psychological world, but rather that we are all part of a greater shared psychological structure that unites us across time, culture, and geography. The collective unconscious is often compared to a vast subterranean reservoir of psychic material. It is as if each human being has an individual unconscious mind that is intertwined with and shaped by this deeper, more universal realm. The personal unconscious may consist of forgotten memories, repressed emotions, and experiences specific to the individual, while the collective unconscious, on the other hand, is filled with archetypal images and symbols that are shared by all people, regardless of their individual life stories. These archetypal symbols are not mere abstract ideas or intellectual concepts, but powerful, living energies that shape our perception of ourselves, others, and the world around us. They are ingrained within the very structure of our psyche, and they influence how we think, act, and interpret our experiences. One of the most striking features of the collective unconscious is its ability to transcend cultural and geographical boundaries. Although it is true that different cultures may have their own specific myths, symbols, and belief systems, there are commonalities that exist across all human societies. These common themes and symbols point to the existence of shared universal patterns that all human beings are connected to. The collective unconscious is not confined to any single culture, religion, or ideology. It is a universal phenomenon that is part of the human condition. For example, regardless of where a person is born, they are likely to encounter certain archetypal motifs, such as the figure of the hero, the wise old man, or the shadow. These motifs emerge in all cultures, whether they are represented in the epic stories of ancient civilizations or the more contemporary narrative of film and literature. The fact that these archetypes appear across such a wide range of cultures suggests that they are not simply cultural artifacts, but deep psychological truths that resonate with all human beings. The collective unconscious is not merely a theoretical concept, but is something that profoundly affects our daily lives, often in ways we are not fully aware of. These archetypal patterns have a powerful influence on our behavior, shaping our reactions, decisions, and interactions with the world around us. For instance, the archetype of the hero often manifests in the individual's personal journey, motivating them to strive for greatness, confront challenges, and overcome obstacles. Whether we consciously recognize it or not, the call to adventure that we hear in our own lives mirrors the journey of the hero found in mythic and literary traditions. Similarly, the archetype of the shadow, the repressed or denied aspects of ourselves, often emerges in the form of internal conflicts or projections onto others. The shadow is not a negative force in and of itself, rather it represents those parts of ourselves that we reject, deny, or fail to understand. Yet, it is only through confronting and integrating the shadow that we can achieve greater wholeness and self-awareness. In addition to the archetypes that emerge from the collective unconscious, this deeper layer of the psyche also holds the potential for personal transformation. By accessing and understanding the content of the collective unconscious, an individual can uncover hidden aspects of the psyche and gain insight into the deeper forces that shape their life. This process of self-acceptance, healing, and personal growth, one of the primary ways in which the contents of the collective unconscious are revealed to us is through dreams. Dreams provide a direct pathway into the unconscious mind, where archetypal symbols and images emerge in vivid and often startling ways. When we examine the symbols and motifs present in our dreams, we begin to see how the unconscious mind is trying to communicate with us, offering us insight into our deepest fears, desires, and unresolved conflicts. The recognition of the collective unconscious also highlights the deeply interconnected nature of the human experience. We are not solitary beings living separate, isolated lives. Instead, we are all connected through the shared structure of the collective unconscious, which binds us to one another and to the broader human story. This sense of interconnectedness can foster a sense of empathy and understanding, as we recognize that the challenges and struggles we face are not unique to us alone, but are part of the broader human experience. The problems and difficulties we encounter in our own lives are often reflections of larger universal themes that have been faced by countless generations before us. This recognition can offer a sense of comfort and reassurance, knowing that we are not alone in our struggles and that our personal journey is part of a much larger narrative. In many ways, the idea of the collective unconscious offers a spiritual dimension to our understanding of human psychology. It suggests that there is more to the human experience than just the individual self. There is a deeper, more universal aspect of our being that connects us to the entire human race. This universal aspect of the psyche can be thought of as the spiritual or transcendent dimension of the self, which is always present, though often hidden beneath the surface of everyday experience. The archetypes that arise from the collective unconscious serve as symbolic representations of this deeper spiritual realm. They represent the forces of growth, transformation, and transcendence that are available to each of us if only we are willing to confront and engage with them. The collective unconscious also offers a way to understand the recurring patterns and cycles that appear throughout human history. Over the course of centuries, cultures have experienced periods of growth, decline, and renewal. These cycles reflect the underlying archetypal forces that shape the collective human experience. For instance, the archetype of the hero's journey often appears during times of societal upheaval or personal crisis, as individuals and communities strive to overcome adversity and find meaning in the face of challenge. Similarly, the archetype of the wise old man or woman often emerges during periods of reflection or contemplation, offering guidance and wisdom to those seeking direction or insight. The appearance of these archetypes during such times is not coincidental. It reflects the deep psychological patterns that govern the course of human history. The integration of archetypes into our conscious lives is not just a matter of intellectual understanding. It is a profound and transformative process that can lead to deeper self-awareness, psychological growth, and a more authentic engagement with the world. Archetypes, as universal symbols embedded in the collective unconscious, the process of integrating these archetypes involves consciously recognizing their presence within ourselves, engaging with them, and ultimately transforming them into forces that guide our personal growth and self-realization. It is through this integration that we can unlock a deeper understanding of who we are and how we relate to the larger forces of existence. At the heart of this process is the recognition that the archetypes are not external to us, but are rather aspects of our own psyche. They represent fundamental elements of human experience, desires, fears, challenges, and potentials that are shared by all people. These archetypes are not separate, isolated figures or symbols. They are expressions of the deep currents within the human soul. When we engage with them, we are not simply looking at something out there. We are looking at ourselves. The hero, the shadow, the wise old man, the mother. These are not just figures in stories or myths. They are dynamic aspects of our own inner world. To integrate them is to bring them from the unconscious realm into our conscious awareness, where they can inform, shape, and enrich our life. The first step in this process is often to become aware of these archetypal forces within ourselves. This requires introspection and a willingness to explore the unconscious mind. One of the most effective ways to begin this journey is through the analysis of dreams. Dreams are a direct communication from the unconscious mind, and they often contain by paying attention to the images, characters, and themes that appear in our dreams, we can begin to recognize the archetypes that are active in our lives. The hero might appear as a figure striving to overcome obstacles or embark on a journey of self-discovery. The shadow may emerge as an antagonist or a source of inner conflict. The wise old man may appear as a mentor or a guide, offering wisdom and insight or goodness. Through these dream symbols, the unconscious mind presents us with the archetypes that are influencing our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Recognizing the presence of these archetypes is the first step toward integration. However, simply becoming aware of them is not enough. The next step is to engage with them consciously, to invite them into our waking lives and allow them to shape our experiences. This can be a challenging and sometimes uncomfortable process. Archetypes are not always easy to confront, as they often represent parts of ourselves that we have repressed, denied, or overlooked. For example, the shadow is typically made up of the aspects of the self that we find undesirable, our weaknesses, fears, and suppressed desires. It is natural to want to avoid these parts of ourselves, but true integration requires us to face them head on. The hero's journey likewise requires us to step out of our comfort zones, confront challenges, and embrace the unknown. It is only by engaging with these archetypes, by allowing them to guide and challenge us, that we can begin the process of transformation. The integration of the archetypes also involves recognizing their complementary nature. Each archetype represents a different facet of the self, and each one offers unique insights and guidance. For example, the hero's journey is not complete without the presence of the shadow, for it is only by confronting the shadow, those aspects of the self that are hidden or denied, that the hero can achieve growth and transformation. The wise old man is not a solitary figure, but often appears as a mentor who helps the hero navigate the trials and challenges of the journey. The mother archetype, in its nurturing form, offers protection and support, but it also represents the potential for overprotection or smothering. The task of integration involves finding balance among these archetypes and allowing them to work together in harmony rather than allowing one to dominate or overpower the others. In this sense, integration is not about trying to eliminate or suppress certain aspects of the self. It is about embracing the full range of human experience, the light and the dark, the strengths and the weaknesses, and allowing these aspects to coexist and inform one another. This process of integration leads to greater wholeness as we cease to see ourselves as fragmented or divided, but rather as complex and multifaceted beings capable of holding multiple, sometimes contradictory elements within ourselves. The hero is not just brave and strong, the hero is also vulnerable and uncertain. The wise old man is not only knowledgeable but also aware of the limitations of wisdom. The mother is both nurturing and capable of fierce protection. One of the primary benefits of archetypal integration is the development of a more authentic sense of self. Many people go through life unaware of the unconscious forces that shape their behaviors and perceptions. They may follow societal norms, pursue external goals, or live according to the expectations of others without ever questioning whether these choices align with their true desires and values. By integrating the archetypes, individuals can begin to reconnect with their authentic selves, the deeper unshaped parts of their psyche that often lie buried beneath the layers of societal conditioning and personal history. This process allows individuals to reclaim their individuality and autonomy, as they no longer feel compelled to live in accordance with external expectations, but instead follow a path that is aligned with their true nature. For example, the integration of the hero archetype might inspire someone to step out of their comfort zone and pursue a goal or ambition that has long been dormant within them. They may find themselves facing challenges or obstacles that seem insurmountable, but by embracing the hero's journey, they tap into the courage, strength, and determination that reside within them. Similarly, integrating the shadow may involve confronting the aspects of the self that have been repressed or denied, such as unresolved anger, shame, or fear. This confrontation can lead to greater self-acceptance, as individuals learn to embrace their imperfections and acknowledge the parts of themselves they have long neglected. By integrating the shadow, they no longer project their fears or insecurities onto others, but instead take responsibility for their own emotional landscape. The process of integration also has profound implications for how we relate to others. The archetypes that reside within us are not only internal forces, they also shape our interactions with the external world. For example, the mother archetype may influence how we relate to others in terms of care and protection. An individual who has integrated the nurturing aspect of the mother archetype may be more compassionate, understanding, and supportive in their relationship. However, if this archetype is unbalanced, they may become overly controlling or smothering. Similarly, the wise old man archetype may inspire us to seek guidance from others or offer wisdom to those in need. Yet, if we are overly identified with this archetype, we may become distant or detached from the more emotional or spontaneous aspects of life. The key to integration is balance, recognizing the full range of the archetypes and allowing them to inform our interactions without dominating them. Another crucial aspect of archetypal integration is the cultivation of psychological resilience. The archetypes are not merely passive symbols, they are active forces that shape how we respond to life's challenges. When we integrate these archetypes, we develop a deeper sense of inner strength and resourcefulness as we learn to tap into the wisdom and power they represent. The hero archetype, for instance, gives us the courage to face adversity and navigate through difficult times. The wise old man offers insight and guidance when we are uncertain or confused. The shadow, while often feared, teaches us to confront our fears and limitations, ultimately leading to greater psychological maturity. Each archetype offers a unique set of tools and strengths that we can draw upon in times of need. Finally, the integration of archetypes is not a one-time event, but a lifelong process. As we continue to grow and evolve, new archetypal energies may emerge within us, presenting new opportunities for growth and transformation. Our understanding of the archetypes deepens over time, and we learn to engage with them in more sophisticated and nuanced ways. The archetypes are not fixed or static. They are dynamic forces that evolve and shift along with our own personal development. This ongoing process of integration allows us to continually refine and deepen our understanding of ourselves, our relationships, and the world around us. In conclusion, the exploration of archetypes and the collective unconscious invites us into a deeper understanding of our inner worlds and our shared human experience. The archetypes, as universal symbols within the collective unconscious, are not mere abstract concepts, but living, dynamic forces that shape our perceptions, behavior, and worldview. These archetypes, ranging from the hero, the shadow, the wise old man to the mother, are not isolated individual phenomena, but rather reflections of the deep shared psychological structures that unite all human beings. They are the timeless patterns that have emerged over generations and continue to guide and influence our journeys. As we engage with these archetypes, we come to realize that they are not distant or external entities, but integral parts of our own psyche. They exist within us, shaping our actions, thoughts, and emotions in ways we often fail to recognize. The journey of integration, where we bring these unconscious forces into conscious awareness, is one of personal transformation. It requires a willingness to face the aspects of ourselves that may be uncomfortable, hidden, or repressed, but it also offers the potential for profound growth. By acknowledging and engaging with the archetypes, we allow them to guide us toward greater self-awareness, deeper connections with others, and a more authentic existence. The recognition of the collective unconscious reminds us that we are not solitary beings, isolated in our individual experiences, but part of a large interconnected human story. Through the integration of these archetypes, we tap into the universal wisdom that resides within us all. This journey of self-discovery leads not only to psychological resilience, but also to a sense of purpose and meaning in our lives. As we learn to navigate the challenges and complexities of the human experience, we draw strength from the timeless patterns of the archetypes, ultimately finding balance, healing, and wholeness. In embracing the archetypes and understanding the depths of the collective unconscious, we open ourselves to the possibility of transformation, both individually and collectively. It is through this process that we can truly come to know ourselves and our place in the larger fabric of humanity. The archetypes are not just relics of the past. They are living forces that continue to guide us, offering us the wisdom and strength we need to navigate the complexities of the modern world and fulfill our potential. By embracing them, we embark on a journey not just of personal growth, but of deeper connection to the greater whole of humanity and the world itself.